Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on a Friday. We got kind of a surprising Steelers injury report today, where some unexpected people were added to the injury report this week as this team gets ready to take on the Minnesota Vikings in Dublin on Sunday morning. We will be going live for our live watch party starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, so wake up with us here on Steelers Talk. We'll have an hour of pregame coverage followed by live play-by-play and reaction to the game itself. And then, of course, we have post-game reaction after the game as well. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Join the largest Steelers watch party anywhere on YouTube for this week's matchup. All right, so now let's get into the injury report here. Some good news is that DeShon Elliott, the starting strong safety for the Steelers, is expected to be good to go. He was a full participant in practice today, and he does not have a game designation, so he is going to be good to go. It's great to have him back. He is a big part of this defense. Last year, he led the league, and he had the lowest missed tackle rate among players with at least 100 tackles. So, missing him was certainly contributed to the Steelers' relatively high missed tackle rate in the first 3 weeks. He was a big reason why the run game and the run defense took a dip after he left. But so it's good to have him back, and I'm really excited to see what Elliott and Jabril Peppers, who had a really good first week last week versus New England, is going to be able to do together. I think that is a really fun safety duo and a really good one. And, I think throughout the offseason we were kind of talking about, Juan Thornhill, free safety, is that really going to work? I had some optimism for Thornhill, and I still think he's better than Chuck Clark. But adding Peppers to this group alongside DeShon Elliott, I think, is a legitimate safety tandem, and I expect Peppers to play more this week. I expect Elliott to get a pretty hefty workload. And, I'm sure we'll see a little bit of Juan Thornhill or Chuck Clark rotating in, but I think majority of the time we're going to see Elliott and Peppers as the two safeties out there. So I think that's a big upgrade from what this team has had at safety the first 2 weeks. But some kind of concerning news here is that we have two members of the Steelers offense that have been added to the injury report this week that were not expected. That is running back Jaylen Warren and Jonnu Smith are both listed as questionable. Warren is dealing with a knee injury. He was wearing a sleeve on his leg at practice all week, and he did not fully participate in team drills this week. He was only a limited participant. He participated in individual drills, but not the team periods this week. And same thing goes for Jonnu Smith, who's dealing with a hip issue. They joined Joey Porter Jr., who is still listed as questionable going into Friday with that hamstring injury. Joey's been practicing all week in a limited fashion, so he certainly, I would classify him probably more as a game time decision, how he feels on Sunday morning. But when it comes to Warren and Smith, guys, I will say that I expect those guys to be on the field on Sunday. The fact that these guys made the trip, the fact that next week you have a bye week, and if things were serious and there was a relatively high risk of higher injury, I have a feeling that they would probably hold these guys out. But the fact that they've been practicing, the fact that they have been, they made the trip out to Ireland this week, tells me that those guys are probable to play on Sunday. So that's good news. But if for some reason Jaylen Warren has to be out, that would probably mean Kenneth Gainwell and Caleb Johnson, the rookie out of Iowa, will have to step up and carry the workload in the running back room, and hopefully they'd be able to do that. Now, like I said, I expect Warren to be out there, but it'll be interesting to see if he gets a reduced snap count, if that means Caleb Johnson gets a couple more carries, if that means Warren isn't as big of a part of the offensive game plan this week. And as we know, Warren has probably been, in fact, I don't think it's a probably, I think he just has been the most valuable offensive player on the Steelers offense so far this year. So to lose him would be a big loss, or if he's even a little bit limited and he doesn't play as much, that would be a downgrade for the Steelers offense heading into Sunday. And if Jonnu Smith is out, I would expect Roman Wilson to pick up the slack and be kind of that fourth quote-unquote pass catcher. Steelers have been playing a lot of two tight ends, and they've been giving Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth starting level snaps, which have certainly eaten into Roman Wilson's opportunities to this point. So if Jonnu is out, the next man up in the rotation is Roman Wilson. So I would expect an increased workload for Roman if Jonnu is limited or can't play on Sunday. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with these injury designations by Sunday morning. My guess is that these guys will all play, especially Jaylen Warren. Joey Porter Jr. I do kind of consider to be more of a true game time decision and maybe more up in the air because he's just been a limited participant all week. But, Jaylen and Jonnu, it doesn't seem like those injuries are too serious and that they should be able to go on Sunday. But certainly nice to get DeShon Elliott back, guys, because like I said, to pair him up with Jabril Peppers in the secondary, I think it opens up the playbook a little bit, opens up some of the things that you feel comfortable running as a defensive play caller. And then if Joey Porter Jr. can get out onto the field and you can have him out there to press jam Justin Jefferson, then that should help some things out as well. So hopefully Joey can give it a go because he's a really big part of this Steelers defense. We saw last year when he had to come out with injury and he was kind of dealing with on and off injuries in 2024. When he was off the field, that was a completely different Steelers defense. So we've kind of seen that through the first few weeks. When Joey's not been out there, it's been a completely different Steelers defense than what we're used to seeing. So hopefully he can get back as soon as he possibly can, hopefully on Sunday, and he can help contribute to a Steelers win. Also, let's talk about the Vikings injury reports. They will be without 5 starters this week. We already knew about J.J. McCarthy, who's dealing with a high ankle sprain. We already knew about Donovan Jackson, their starting left guard. By the way, Cam Hayward versus their backup left guard, Blake Brandel, should be a big point of emphasis for the Steelers, and it's going to be a big matchup that Captain Cam is going to have to take advantage of if they want to win this ball game and put pressure on Carson Wentz. Aaron Jones, their number 1 running back, has been on IR. And then Blake Cashman, their starting inside linebacker, we knew was going to be out Sunday. But we have a new name that's kind of popped up later in the week, Andrew Van Ginkel, one of their starting outside linebackers, a very versatile piece for them. Very big part of this Brian Flores defense, will be out this Sunday, and it will be former first-round pick Dallas Turner getting his start. And Dallas has been really good as a rotational third edge rusher for them so far this year. It seems like he's taken a step forward from where he was last year. Very athletic player, and he's going to be going up against Troy Fautano at right tackle. Broderick Jones is going to have a tough matchup against Jonathan Grenard at that other edge at that other edge spot. So hopefully this Steelers offensive line can do a better job protecting Aaron Rodgers than what they've done the first few weeks of the season. Certainly the offensive line needs to do better, but also another thing that we've been talking about pretty extensively on this show is Arthur Smith needs to do a better job at getting this offense to beat man coverage, and specifically press man coverage, better than what they've been doing over the first 3 weeks. Right now, teams are sitting in a lot of two-man, which is 2 high safeties with press coverage across the board, and the Steelers have not been able to find ways to consistently beat that. Their tight ends are not getting open versus these defenders, and neither is DK Metcalf because, this jam coverage is not allowing him to get some momentum and get ahead of steam. Which is really important for a bigger guy like DK, because if he doesn't have, that kind of landing strip to be able to run and get ahead of steam, he's not going to be as explosive and he's not going to be able to get up to that top speed. So it's very important that Arthur Smith finds ways to get these guys in motion, use rub routes, use bunches and stacks to be able to manufacture space for DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, and the bevy of other weapons that they have here in Pittsburgh to be able to open up the passing game. And then obviously, you really hope Jaylen Warren is good to go and is ready to get his usual high workload that we saw last week versus the New England Patriots, because he is the best player on this Steelers offense right now. And if he doesn't play, or if he has a limited impact on the football game, that means other people are going to have to step up. And that's a little bit of a scary thought because to this point, there hasn't been a whole lot of that in the Steelers offense this week. So definitely going to be an interesting matchup here, guys. We'll probably have another at-home style video tomorrow with any news that comes out, any elevations from the practice squad if Jawan Bentley or Isaiah Hodgins gets elevated. We'll see what happens tomorrow and kind of what the story looks like heading into Sunday morning. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to get the very latest surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers as we get ready for the Dublin game on Sunday morning.